How's it going, guys? And welcome to the Sonic Adventure 2 Retrospective. And I'm very pleased with the way how the first retrospective went. You know, everyone really seemed to enjoy it, and I guess I was right what I said. And, you know, it basically in the beginning of that video that a lot of people really like Sonic Adventure. A lot of people were introduced to Sonic through Sonic Adventure. They became big Sonic fans through Sonic Adventure. So Sonic Adventure 2 also holds that acclaim too. You know, people who were born a little bit later, you know, even though that this game was only released just a few years after Sonic Adventure, the original game, a lot of people say that this was their first Sonic game, not the first Sonic Adventure. So this is also another pivotal part in the history of Sonic the Hedgehog. And a lot of people were asking, can I please review this game as soon as possible? So I figured, why not hold off on other reviews and retrospectives and other videos here on this channel and get right down to it, because I really want to talk about this game and people want to hear me talk about it. So what's the point of even waiting? Let's just jump right into it. So guys, without further ado, here's my Sonic Adventure 2 retrospective. First, let's touch on a little history. Sonic Adventure 2 was one of the last games released for Sega's final console, the Dreamcast, in the United States. Weirdly enough, unlike the first Sonic Adventure, 2 was actually released in the US before Japan by almost a week. Definitely better than the 10-month localization disaster for the inaugural release. I remember reading about this game in Game Informer and wishing I could play this game, but I did not own a Dreamcast. But suddenly, one day, while reading the latest issue of Game Informer, which was a tremendous magazine at the time, by the way, I came across an article stating that not only was Sega ceasing production on the Dreamcast, but they were getting out of the console business altogether, after falling behind Nintendo and Sony for the second time. I remember being shocked beyond belief. I didn't own a Dreamcast, but I felt a great deal of sadness, as a company that brought me many years of happiness with the Sega Genesis was excusing itself from the console making industry, never to make another console again. Yes, besides the Sega Genesis Mini, a newer console I mean, but this now meant Sonic would be appearing on other consoles. So I finally got to experience the game the very next year when Sonic Adventure 2 Battle was released for the Nintendo GameCube. And this game was actually quite drastically different than Sonic Adventure. Similar in some ways, but very different in many ways. Some good, some bad. I'm playing the Xbox Live Arcade version here, which upgraded the game to widescreen, and everything looks extremely sharp and vibrant. I would definitely recommend this version of the game for the best experience. We've got 2 separate playthroughs instead of 6 different ones this time around. There's the hero story and the dark story. This is pretty revolutionary actually, because how many games before this point actually let you play as both the good guys and the bad guys? And one of those bad guys just so happens to be Dr. Eggman. Disappointingly, hub worlds are a thing of the past, and we no longer get the fun and open areas that connect the levels together like in the first Sonic Adventure. Here we get a streamlined presentation of going level to level, with the only breaks being for cutscenes, and visits to the Chow Garden if you find the necessary keys located in the game to access it. Chow are creatures that function similar to the late 90s Tamagotchi games. Damn, remember those? But outdated references aside, Chow are cute little creatures you can raise by collecting items throughout the game. It's completely optional, and though it's a cute feature, I really don't go out of my way to invest in this feature. So let's talk about these 2 story modes. In Hero, you will switch off between Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles. Sonic stages are pretty much how they were in Sonic Adventure 2. being fast-paced and platform-heavy, and some of the stages are better, some not as much. I think the opening level, City Escape, is probably my favorite. This level just kicks things off so amazingly, and this all stems from the opening cutscene with Sonic jumping out of a freaking plane. You go snowboarding down the streets of Central City, and eventually end up getting chased by a giant truck, and you hear this just sensational music accompanying it. It's just an amazing way to kick things off. It's definitely a more energetic first level than Emerald Coast in the first Sonic adventure. However, we will get into the specifics of the levels in a bit. Tails forgot he can fly this time and now is using a mech, and the shoot 'em up gameplay is very similar to that of Gamma's from Sonic Adventure 1. Knuckles is back and once again searching for pieces of the Master Emerald that this time he smashed himself to prevent Eggman from stealing it. In the Dark storyline, we get to play as the villains, Shadow, who mirrors Sonic's style and is equally as fast, and instead of running kicks off at the ground like he's rollerblading. Rouge, who treasure hunts like Knuckles, and we finally get to take control of Dr. Eggman, which is insanely surreal, and his levels are mech shoot 'em ups just like Tails'. By playing the two stories, we get to see the two different perspectives and get to access the real ending. So what's the story here? Okay, well, this one's definitely a little harder to follow because of the two perspectives and how it all fits together, and it's definitely a little deeper and elaborates on its plot a bit more because it's got a lot more to tell. Eggman, who has now officially dropped his Robotnik name for good, breaks into a top secret military base that belongs to the organization Gun to uncover his grandfather's secret weapon. What's his grandfather's name, you ask? Professor Gerald Robotnik. Wait, what the hell? Are you kidding me? So he's Dr. Eggman now, officially for the first time in the US, but his grandfather still has the Robotnik name, and even in Japan? How does this even make sense? Ugh. I still to this day hate that name change. These gripes aside, Robotnik uncovers the secret, a black hedgehog by the name of Shadow, who was created by his grandfather as the ultimate life form. Eggman awakens him from a 50-year stasis, and Shadow forms an alliance with Eggman and tells him to gather up the Chaos Emeralds and meet him on the Space Colony Ark, which is a massive space station capable of destroying the planet. Shadow is being driven by a promise made to Gerald Robotnik's granddaughter, Maria, after she dies at the hands of Gun when they storm the Ark and arrest Gerald 50 years ago. Shadow steals an emerald from the Federal Reserve Bank because, you know, that's where they keep Chaos Emeralds nowadays. They double as currency apparently, when all the other times they were just laying around or in bonus stages. Shadow gets mistaken for Sonic because the people of Earth are a bunch of idiots who have trouble telling the difference between blue and black. Listen, no joke, I am colorblind. I have trouble with shades of blues and purples, as well as yellows and oranges, but black and blue are two totally different colors. Not to mention the red highlights on Shadow. Oh, I guess all hedgehogs look alike to you, Seriously, how dumb can these people get? And this is the military.
Dumb. Those dudes are so dumb.
As we saw in the opening to the game, Sonic gets arrested by Gun, manages to escape by jumping out of their plane, meets up with Shadow, gets captured again, but gets rescued by Tails and Amy, who's here but not a playable character, and they soon meet up with Knuckles. And they learn of Eggman's plan as he threatens to fire the Ark's Eclipse Cannon at Earth, but first makes a demonstration by blowing up half of the f***ing moon. Well, damn, Eggman is not playing around this time. I mean, the moon. Credit to the writers for making Eggman look like a big threat here. So Sonic and company head off to space to stop him. Okay, so we'll get back to the story in a bit, but it's time to discuss the gameplay some more. Sonic Adventure 2 is fun to play, but I feel like it's way more frustrating than the first game. The level design is 10 times more complex and now 10 times more unpredictable. I have to really credit Sonic Team on the design of Sonic's and Shadow's levels. These are great levels, they're fun to go through, but there's a lot of frustrating moments as well. Sonic and Shadow share movesets, and the homing attack makes a comeback and still is your primary move, but now a somersault that can be used as an attack and as a method to fit through narrow gaps has been added. The most glaring addition is the ability to grind on rails, and this move would go on to be a massive staple in the Sonic series for future games. However, sometimes landing on them can be a real pain in the booty. This opened up the game design and another way to get Sonic to go fast without actually running. The level design is imaginative, but many times I feel the design can be too ambitious, leading to many deaths. It is so much easier to die in this game. Falling into bottomless pits seems to be the most reoccurring problem for me, especially on levels like Final Chase. Many of these levels are long, very long in fact. Trying to do the homing attack move to move up these rails, for example, one wrong move and you're falling off the edge into total oblivion. Oh, and the enemy placement, my god, the enemy placement. Especially when these gun robots land out of nowhere. I'm getting hit like crazy. The same goes for Eggman and Tails' shooting stages. Not so much with the bottomless pits because you will get the ability to hover eventually, but the enemy placement is a big problem. Especially these artificial chaos clones, which are a real pain to deal with. And if one's on screen, chances are I'm getting hit with its extending arms. There's a lot of trial and error, which is fine, as I respect a game that is designed to make you learn it before you can master it, but I can't help but feel like things get a bit too loose and clunky at times. Don't get me wrong, I love the design of these levels due to their artistry and they capture the spirit of the franchise, but sometimes things get a bit too crazy. And it'd be fine if some of these deaths and hits didn't feel so cheap or sudden. I never felt this way during the first Sonic Adventure game or in any of the 2D titles. There's just way too many opportunities to fall off ledges in this game for my liking, and I feel like I have to take things way too slow at times to avoid accidental deaths. Now, with Knuckles and Rouge, things are definitely more relaxed, but I'm not so sure that's a good thing or bad thing. So the gameplay works almost exactly as it did in the first Sonic Adventure. You hunt for 3 emerald pieces, and when you're near an emerald piece, the radar starts chiming and blinking. The closer you get, the faster the chime. This hot and cold system works well, but the radar will no longer go off, even if you're standing right next to an emerald piece, if it's not the one you're programmed to find first. What kind of cockeyed nonsense is this? My question is why? Why? Yes, why did they alter the way the radar works for this game? This just feels like either a major oversight or just a real cheap way of padding out game time. Oh yeah, and Rouge. So, Rouge is an okay character. Nothing great about her or her personality as a character. She just doesn't strike me as compelling or anything really. I mean, I never heard anyone really say they love this character or hate her. She's kind of just a character that most of us Sonic fans have just come to accept, and she's just there. Well, she's more there instead of being just there, like Big the Cat at least. I enjoyed her representation in Sonic X, and her voice actor who took over for the anime, Kathleen Delaney, did her better justice. The Mae West voice and personality just added more layers to the character. She just feels bland in this game, and easily my least favorite character. She's not a bad character, don't get me wrong, but she's just not an exciting addition to the roster of Sonic characters, especially when you've got an awesome character like Shadow debuting at the same time. I guess you could say she got overshadowed. I'm sorry. She's a jewel thief who is working for Gun, who's promised her jewels in exchange for helping them stop Dr. Eggman. But after she gets caught, she gives Eggman a Chaos Emerald, and they make a deal to work together. I feel like this story would have been fine without her, and she doesn't really do anything to help it. But I feel like they needed someone to mirror Knuckles' playstyle. However, I like how they play off each other here, and it makes sense that they would have a rivalry since Rouge is after jewels and Knuckles is the protector of the Master Emerald, one of the biggest jewels in existence. Now let's talk about two of the most frustrating levels in the game, and they actually belong to Rouge: Security Hall and Mad Space. So let's talk about Security Hall first, which takes full advantage of the fact that your radar is the biggest pain imaginable, because now you've got to find all 3 emerald pieces in the span of 5 minutes before the bomb Eggman tells you to plant explodes. Now this area is not very big, but it's got quite a few floors, and 5 minutes is kinda tight, don't you think? Oh, but there's more. Throw in the fact that you have to use 3 different switches to unlock certain vaults, which might contain the emeralds. Were they insane when they came up with this concept? I know, I get it. It's challenging, but this is more like inconveniencing the player to the point where it's just absurd. I find myself killing myself just so I can restart with the emerald pieces I've already collected if it's taking me too long to find the last one before the timer runs out, because when you do this, it will reset the pieces that you have not found yet. I suggest this strategy wholeheartedly to avoid permanent psychosis. As if that wasn't enough, you've then got to contend with the challenges of Mad Space, which absolutely lives up to its name. Now, Knuckles has a space level too that's similar, but this one is so much more infuriating. This level is extremely spacious, and they always seem to hide the last emerald piece in the most absurd spot possible. Plus, many of the hint monitors are backwards to add to the insanity. This one always takes me a while, longer than it really should, because this is where the radar system doing that one at a time BS really start to piss me off. I admire the size and scope of the level, but treasure hunting here is a nightmare to say the least. Let's get back to the story because there's quite a bit to unpack here. Both stories end after Sonic beats Shadow, or Shadow beats Sonic, depending on which story you are playing. At the end of the Dark story, you will see Robotnik inserting the final Chaos Emerald into the Ark's console to fire the cannon. After completing both the Hero and Dark story, you will get access to the final story, in which we learn that Robotnik has now activated Gerald Robotnik's booby trap that is now sending the Ark in a free fall to Earth. According to Gerald's diary, he has done this to get revenge on the Earth due to Gun killing his granddaughter when they are told by the government to raid and destroy Project Shadow to keep it from falling into the wrong hands. And they kill everyone on board, except Gerald for some reason. A bit hasty to kill everyone on board, don't you think? I guess because they knew too much? Not sure how Gerald knew to make this booby trap ahead of time. I guess he made it as a failsafe in case something like this were to happen. Maybe a plot hole, most likely, because they don't explain it, and Gerald doesn't exactly seem like a bad guy, and he was making Shadow to benefit mankind, according to his diary. He does say he went insane, but what's with this plan? If the Ark is raided and everyone is gone and it's to be left abandoned, why is the plan to have all 7 emeralds inserted into the console to activate the booby trap? I feel like they overcomplicated what is a pretty simple story to tell in essence, and I get the gist of it, but why is it told in such a confusing way? Thankfully, Sonic X did the story better justice and told it in a more coherent fashion. So Robotnik agrees to temporarily team up with Sonic and Co. to stop the Ark from plummeting to Earth, and we get this amazingly read line from Eggman's returning voiceover actor Dean Bistro.
Let's get to work!
So now we have one last final gigantic level to go through. We have to switch between Tails, Robotnik, Rouge, Knuckles, and Sonic. This is actually pretty challenging. Tails and Robotnik have some pretty tricky platforming parts. Rouge's part is extremely simple. Knuckles' part can be a real disaster if you did not find the extremely well hidden air necklace in the aquatic mines. My advice is to use the level select option to go back and get it if you didn't already, because it makes things way easier. His section takes place mostly underwater, and if you don't have the necklace, you will have to rely on air bubbles as you contend with violent air currents that keep pushing you back, inhibiting your progress. Funny how this is like the only underwater section in the entire Adventure series. Come to think of it, there wouldn't be many underwater sections in the 3D Sonic games until Sonic Colors years later. Sonic's part is actually the shortest. Just be careful of this part here where you're supposed to jump back up this water slide, which is extremely misleading because I remember thinking you're supposed to go down at first when in fact you are supposed to go up. Shadow now remembers that he actually promised Maria that he would help the people of Earth, not get revenge. Wow, now that's quite a difference, don't you think? Suddenly, Shadow pops out of nowhere and shows up to help Sonic and Knuckles, who have now made it to the core of the Ark. Wait, what? I think the emeralds are still locked into the Ark's cannon console, because if they weren't, Sonic could have just used Chaos Control to teleport to the core, which is a technique he learned from watching Shadow do it earlier, where the user can teleport using the energy of a Chaos Emerald. I would assume this is what Shadow did, but he doesn't have an emerald. So how the hell did he get here so fast, and why is the story falling apart so much at the end? Anyway, you will face off against Bio Lizard, who was the prototype for the ultimate life form, which can be pretty challenging. You have to dodge his alternating energy blast and use the homing attack to attack the life support pack on its back, but as you inflict more damage, you will have to time your attacks while using these orbs to bounce off of. After Shadow beats Biolizard, we find out that it was only round 1, as it becomes one with the Ark. Sonic and Shadow use the Chaos Emeralds and both go super, and we get a pretty easy final boss battle, which is pretty cool despite its simplistic design. The lasers are pretty simple to dodge, and all you have to do is charge into his weak spot. In addition, unlike the first Sonic adventure, they keep the main theme blasting throughout the fight. Live and Learn is just an awesome track to finish out the game. Speaking of the music, Jun Seoni is on fire with this soundtrack, just as he was for the first game. The main theme, Live and Learn, is legendary at this point, but my favorite track here has got to be the absolutely supercharged boss theme, Masters of the Desert. This riff is just fantastic, and it's one of the best boss themes in the series. Plus, while we're on the topic of sound, I want to add that the voice acting has definitely improved since the first game. Sonic's voiceover actor Ryan Drummond definitely sounds way more comfortable, and I love how he reads some of these lines. Now, I think Jason Griffith would go on to do a way better job, but Ryan definitely had tons of charm, and you get lines like this that are just perfect in every way.
You've turned into a big-time villain, Doctor!
Now, with the first game, I complained that the music was too loud and often drowned out the voiceovers a bit. So you think that this problem would either be addressed, or maybe they didn't think it was too distracting and just left it alone, but no, they actually made it worse. Take this scene with Eggman trying to steal the Master Emerald. You can't even hear what he's saying.
I came here following the signal from the emerald. If I'm not mistaken, this is the Master Emerald, is it not?
Plus, then you get characters cutting each other off, like this moment between Sonic and Shadow.
Comparing yourself to me? Huh, you're not even good enough to be I'll make you eat those words!
Would you let me say, let me talk?
All right, go ahead.
All right.
Okay.
Sonic Adventure 2 gave us Shadow and Rouge, who would become series staples, and Shadow would go on to get his own game, as well as be a major character in the mainline series. So this game is very historic in the vein of the entire series and where it was headed. Overall, this game is fun, but there are many issues with the gameplay, and I find there to be way more annoying issues than in the first game. I find myself enjoying the original Sonic Adventure more because it feels more streamlined in terms of level design. I think less was more. Although I don't want to undercut the imagination and efforts of Sonic Team that they put into the stages, but when I find myself dying of cheap deaths constantly, I can't help but prefer the experience that doesn't feel as tasking. Sonic and Shadow's levels are the most enjoyable. City Escape, the jungle levels, even a flawed level like Final Chase is mostly fun despite the annoying collision issues because of its imaginary and creative design with the usage of grind rails, and it offers some thrilling action-packed gameplay. I just wish there was more and less of the other stuff. I understand the desire to offer variety, but it's kind of like those chip or cereal variety packs where you only want to eat the ones you like and wish you didn't have to deal with the other inferior ones. If you're a Sonic fan, you'll like this for the most part, like I do, but will find problems compared to some of the other games. And if you weren't a Sonic fan before, I doubt this game will do anything to change your mind. Despite your feelings, you can't help but admit this is a memorable gaming experience and Sonic game no matter what. Alright guys, so that just about does it for that retrospective here today. I hope you all enjoyed it. So yeah, this is, don't get me wrong, I've got a lot of criticism because let's face it, you know, even though I'm a huge, massive Sonic fan, we have to talk about the bad, negative aspects of the games. So as far as, you know, I see the Sonic series, I have got a lot of praise. More praise than negativity, because I don't think there's people that hate Sonic the Hedgehog more than Sonic the Hedgehog fans. And I think the Sonic fans are a lot like Star Wars fans. They are a critical bunch, sometimes an overly critical bunch. I can be critical at times, but I think you'll see from this retrospective, I think I was pretty fair. I think a lot of these points are kind of hard to dispute unless you really, really just love this game so much that it overshadows it overshadows all the negativity because you love. Yeah, okay, I'll stop. Okay, we already did a shadow joke in the retrospective, so I won't painfully make you submit to another one of those jokes, even though I already did. But anyway, guys, that's besides the point. So what's next here on this channel? You know, like I said, I really want to get around to talking about Force Unleashed. Also quite funny that I also started playing another Sonic game, and that being Sonic Heroes. Because I'm not sure if I do a Sonic game next. I gotta get around to Force Unleashed already, because I really want to talk about that game. But people also really wanted me to talk about Sonic, and I want to talk about Sonic, so I don't know what's going to be next, but it's going to be one of those games. I don't think it's going to be Sonic Heroes, because I'm going to explain why it probably won't be unless some type of a miracle happens and I somehow get around to doing what I want to do for that game for the retrospective. But, you know, there's going to be many surprises here on this channel as well. Other games that you won't expect me to review and do retrospectives on. And, you know, there's also a lot of other interesting things I'm hearing about in the world of gaming. So you might see other videos as well that are not reviews and retrospectives. You know, maybe some little gaming news videos. I don't know. You know, it's a party. Who knows what's next? Whoa! You know, anyway, guys, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do so. This is the time to subscribe. I'm really excited. I feel invigorated. I feel reborn here on this channel. I feel the lightning infusing within me. I feel like I'm like Super Sonic. I'm going to go Super Brad. Ah! I ain't got no Chaos Emeralds. No 50 rings. Yeah, so anyway, guys, I want to thank all my patrons and everyone who watched this video and everyone who watches my videos in general. Even if you're not subscribed, you really should be subscribed. But even if you're not, I still appreciate you taking the time to visit this here channel. So, guys, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.